as the scenario understanding of the given context. All right. So let me just show you this here. So I believe you able to see that, all of you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
fine. So screen is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
So the topic given to me is on to talk about pandemic repercussions and behavioral issues among the students. Okay, let me before proceeding, to the session. Uh, is it fine if I use a mixed dialect, or will it be fine to keep my mode completely in one language? Yes,
Whatever you
madam.
are
दोनों
comfortable with, ma'am.
mix में चलेगा. I mean, if students are fine with that, I don't mind using a mix of language so that they can be at ease and we also feel comfortable. See, ultimately, objective is they should understand. I should have full, kind of a connect with them, right? So,
Ma'am, we
दोनों में
have
mix भी चलेगा, हाँ.
participants from South India as well. Perhaps they
Okay,
might not be comfortable with Hindi.
all right.
I don't know if
Fine,
anyone
fine.
here.
ठीक है, ठीक है,
Okay,
ठीक है,
yes,
ठीक है.
ma'am.
All right, all right. So, the topic itself says that something happens, like pandemic is giving us some challenges in relation with the behavior. All right. Now, what we mean by the behavior issues will come later. Let us first understand what this term itself defines as a daily interaction or a routine interaction with one on one in terms of people with respect to any scenario, object, or situation is what we mean by the response which we give in different scenarios to people and context is what we mean by behavior. And behavior can be understood as reflection of your personality, right? So some people may able to adjust changes, some people may not be able to adjust or shift or switch so easily because their personality, their grooming, their overall the way they govern their style of doing things may not allow them to shift so quickly. But whenever crisis like this COVID pandemic or any crisis or any challenge or any external threat which comes and enter in our lives, which disturbs or create a vibration the way we used to do our things in a normal fashion, gives us kind of a hiccups or repercussions which leads to some psychometric changes or behavioral changes. All right. Now, to give you a understanding that around the world, in response to what happened, we all have we all have a good understanding by now that how we have to take care of our own health and good take care of the health of my friends, relatives, parents, and my all loving beings, isn't it? So pandemic preparedness at home, which are the essential things which WHO has launched, so initially the very first when this whole scenario started in March 2019, the first thing was when the government or policy changes happened, the first thing is about our own security, right? About my basic things. You must be familiar with that pyramid, yeah, of motivation, yeah. So basic need or your self-esteem, yourself secure comes the first, yeah. So my physical needs or my basic needs should be met first. So people started storing the basic things at home, and you know that was again the very first and kick start of their abnormal behavior, a shift, because I'm not used to, and shift in the sense that in terms of financial expenses also I have to invest more. I'm not used to, or my budget or my other financial plans do not allow me to go and stock so much for a month or 2 months, a kind of inventory at my home, my household things at home, because that is not a normal thing we used to keep it, isn't it? So in terms of my finance, in terms of taking care of those household core things, or in terms of as if it is a kind of a social competition when you go and try to go in the market, or maybe you bought it online. So in that times, during that times, in fact these onlines in Amazon has not yet started hiring. Later they realized that there is a requirement in the society, in across nations, so we have to come up with more manpower in the organization. Later they realized, but even they were preparing that time. So most of us have gone into the markets and have shopped one on one our household and groceries and whatnot. So that shift of storing extra things was one part. Now when I was going for that, which is not a normal thing for me to keep a stock. And if I see someone, that I need a, let's say, a gunny bag of wheat flour, and somebody else is carrying two gunny bags, and there is all stock was over, and I approached the store owner and I said that I need one more packet of a wheat flour, and he says that, ma'am, it's over, the stock is over, and definitely we will refill it quickly. Fine, that is what the best answer you can get it from any of the store owner, right? When, but the other person who's there in your parallel queue, you must be having a very different kind of a perception towards him, a kind of a social competition, which is again not a normal thing. We are behaving with that fellow as if a competitor. You are getting two, I am not getting anything in my hand. You also require the same thing, I also require the same thing, but scenario and context has changed and led us to behave very differently, and we are just competing for these basic things with our own friends and fellows, isn't it? I'm not comfortable behaving in that manner, but situation have turns up and ends up that way, that is allowing us to behave that way. Some people have adopted it, and some people have started and acting and considering this as a new normal and started responding so quickly. Some people and some section of society have yet not been able to accept that fact. They still believe that when this all get over and we'll back to our own normal life, right? But so it becomes very challenging when you have mix of these two groups all together, if I talk about from student point of view, right? So these behaviors actually, as I said, that comes, or it's a reflection of your own personality, isn't it? So in class also we have mix of students who have experienced some or the other this type of incidents, and have a building block in their mind, their perception, how to respond in these scenarios and how to behave in these scenarios. So next time if I get an opportunity to pick up a wheat flour packet, I'll grab two, because I have seen this competition as a socially acceptable new behavior, isn't it, in my new setup, which earlier which is again not my normal way of behaving, but because if I don't do that, I'll be empty handed, which is required. Similarly was applicable for all other stuff also, whether we talk about those sanitizer or hygiene products which were in huge demand, and many small home or household businesses, they have making money out of that, isn't it? We all have witnessed and experienced just by filling whatever XYZ, chemical formula in the bottles, and they were selling in the, in the shelves in the market. And we have no choice without rely, I mean, just trust on them and have to purchase because I need to keep myself in safe hands, isn't it? So these again forces me not to trust. So trust factor also gone away. Social competition, which I am looking my other, my fellow beings, my other citizens, as with the eye of competition. Then trust with the sellers have gone away. That I don't know what product, I don't know how come they able to refill the shelves again, because it's the complete supply chain is blocked. I don't know from where they're getting these goods. Trust factor gone away. So my personality is going or deviating somewhat in different direction. Can I say that on a magnitude of a positive and a negative? Which is positive, I'm indicating as a very balanced emotional equilibrium. All your EQ and SQ and IQ are emotionally all IQ, EQ, and SQ are in balance form in the positive side, and all three quotient get affected in your negative side in the other moment, in the other this quantum. So can I say that slowly we are moving from positive to negative? Can I say that? Yeah. Now, please, you can put me and pause me if you have any query. Yes, is this? I think this is a previous session's hand. I don't see that there's any some hand is there. So all right. So I can see that there is a shift between from one corner to the other corner, from positive side to the negative side, and still that meter is still moving. We lose sociability among people. We have lost trust. Lost in the sense we have reduced in terms of, because every individuals behave differently, uniquely. I may get adjusted, my fellow may not be able to get adjusted with this. So trust has gone with the product quality, with the kind of interaction. Same things are building a new building blocks in my mind to see external world, to see the society, to interact with my colleagues, to interact with my peers in classroom, with my teachers. I don't know whether they are giving me fair, evaluative components or not. I don't know whether they're going to attempt. If we talk about from teachers' perspective, I don't know how come, my students will be able to, are they doing it? Are they sitting and are they doing in a very fair and justified manner in writing their exams or not? We don't know. Trust component again, shift in the behavior is happening, right? Then if we consider into any of these, so these are few essential things which started from where that shift started of competition and insecurity and losing of trust. Misbehaving, I won't say then it go back to your individual personality, but yes, behaviors have definitely have hit hard in the society, that is visible to all of us, right? So and it's not limited to any nation context or limited to any state or national context. It is around the world, same scenario and experiences are happening. I mean, you can see your news channels, and you will realize that, oh, we are much far better because we have our cultural strong support and background. Somewhere subconsciously in my mind, I still like to help my neighbor. I still like to socialize with my friends and relatives. I still go and would love to help somebody who is in extreme emergency situation. So I'll find out the alternative ways following all government guidelines and rules and regulations. So we are fortunate enough to have a strong cultural background, so that is why we are not deviated too much in that mood meter or in that swing from positive side to a negative side of a equilibrium in terms of our behavior. Societies or nations where they have more of a individualistic orientation, we are more of a collectivistic orientation. Indians and Asians, they fall in more of a collectivistic orientation, where also people who are from the cultural studies or life studies, they must be aware of Hofstede research. Yeah. So he spoke about those dimensions, which is like, one is your power distance, right? So we love to respect, we regard our boss as a boss. But in individualistic society like US, they are having individualistic orientation where they can call their boss with the name, and boss also didn't mind it. Yeah. So if, let's say, we need to interact, so what happened is, I will take care of myself, you take care of yourself, that kind of attitude they already have. It's in practice, it's a part of their culture. But we have to shift from that collectivistic to individualistic, that I, my family first, and then I will look into others and sharing things, right? So we have shifted from that collectivistic to individualistic. That is why we are finding it kind of difficult in terms of our adjustment to this new scenario, right? So these are the initial experiences which we all, and which
ये तो वैसे है, अगर हमें बोलना है
ultimately led to bigger problems, ultimately bigger problems in terms of repercussions, right? So it has significant psychological and social effects on the population. Social you will handle slowly, but psychological it's very difficult. I see students who are very enthusiastic, super energetic in the classroom discussions are not responding at all in the classroom, because not that they didn't like the online teaching or this pedagogy, because the context, the surroundings where they are forced to learn new things, or they are forced to teach or write or attempt their exams is not favorable. Definitely not. It's a normal thing we all are experiencing. But we should not forget that as a teachers, as a faculty, or as what to say, coaches to our, or mentors to our students, it becomes utmost important for us to take care of that psychological aspects and well-being of my students, my friends, my colleagues, and to all the best in my capacity. Yeah, so that psychological well-being becomes so popular, and you can see if you explore different journals or different conferences, they have kept this theme as a main core highlight, because it's very much in demand. Yeah, and any research, anything you do, explore, any study, any project you do, we definitely look for its implication, isn't it? So something which is giving me that meaningful output, I love to study that, and that is where that is in demand. So whatever, what is the trend, like how you dress up or how you get ready, isn't it? Whatever is in trend and which suits me, definitely I will use that, because I want to be in that, in front of the camera. I would be, each one of us like to be get appreciated and get compliments from friends and colleagues, and some goody goody things. We all love to hear that. Same thing we also expect for our work, the way we teach. So things which is in trend, we definitely used to write or used to explore these areas. So psychological well-being and or wellness programs, or how to overcome or create a more balanced environment in the school education or university education are the most popular research. You write anything and it will be, you'll be through with that your project work. So here research has also highlighted that impact on psychological well-being of the most exposed group, which is including children and college students and health workers, who are more likely to develop post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, and other symptoms of stress. Now, why we call them as a most exposed group? Because all these three categories are interacting in some unique fashion with the other set of people, right? Let me just pick up the children. Now they are in their growing age, isn't it? They are in their growing age, and they need to have that social continuum. Their social quotient should be high. They learn, their learning happens most of the time as a experiential learning. I do, I play, I get hit, and I learn the lesson. Oh, I should not walk on this road, there is a hole, right? Or I should not ride on a bike on this road, there is a bump, isn't it? So children most of the time they learn with their experience. So they play, they experiment new things, and I mean, so they're multitaskers, right? And they're full of energy. Now you are trapped or the context or the situations had trapped their energy into one room or two rooms houses, and now we are asking them to behave in the normal fashion. Very difficult. And when we ourselves, all of us are experiencing these challenges, so it becomes more crucial when we talk about children, because they have not yet mature or grown up enough to cope up or to understand that why there is a requirement to behave like that, right? So it becomes more critical, more challenging, right, when we talk about children. Okay, now college students. College students or university students, when they come here,
এই
it's
এই
like
এই কি হলো? ফোন নিয়ে কি
when
করছো?
it
হ্যাঁ?
comes here, it's
ফোনটা
like
রাখো। হাতে রাখতে বারণ করছি তো ফোন।
for them, it's a kind of
হয়ে গেছে?
a shift in the
ক্লাস করতে
sense
কি
that
করছো রা?
they think that now they become more independent, or whatever the parents at home they're not being allowed to do, that now they can do, and they can make independent decisions. They can, join any other passion which they want to do it, but earlier which was not used to. So that crucial period of their life is going. Yeah. So that is affecting their study, that is affecting their passion, and so we are finding that level of stress is super high in the college going students and in the university students, right? They're really struggling hard. Some are able to manage and cope up and, trying to invest more time in the studies, but for some students who are of, let's say, more sociable type, or who are more of, extrovert type of personalities, it becomes harder and harder, to focus on studies, and to keep yourself joyful simultaneously. So you can see a very, deep drop in your class participation when you all are also teaching, and some of, I mean, the students are also, part of this program, I believe. So you're also, some of you, when you sit through to your um, in the classrooms, virtual classroom I'm talking about, for sure. So you didn't find something interesting, because it's like, sitting and right in front of the wall and you're teaching, or sitting again with the same pedagogy, with the same professor, with the same content. It's okay, it's fine, only the slides are going away and the content. So no social interaction is happening, because I mean, not every university or every, it depends on their capacity, and depending on their, permissions, they are adopting the advanced or moderate level of technology, right, for conducting these virtual. And in the ground level, in the school setup, many government schools are completely closed. No schools, because they cannot afford to go for this virtual, although, I mean, government is insisting by setting up some to have, so that these, rural children education may not get affected, because they are also, but I believe they are much more uh, in a natural environment, because our school system or our education system is such that we do not give more emphasis on the skill or the competency part, which is ultimately required when you go and work at anywhere. Be are you, if you are in teaching, then fine. If you are in your, let's say, in the health profession or law profession, or in your corporate, so wherever you go and work, your competencies and skill are the key for your success. And unfortunately, we do not have our academics, the content what we teach in classroom settings, to be aligned with what is required in the job roles, right? So in a way, these students or teachers who are not having this opportunity to have virtual classroom are in much better position in terms of, and better, position in the sense that, in a much comfortable phase, that because they have less stress, they have less, otherwise for teachers like us, आज connection नहीं आया, there's no network, or students have logged out, what to whom I'm teaching. I'm just asking them to complete their, assignments and bring back, and still they are not doing that. So these kind of challenges are pretty common, very, very common, right? So this are putting off from that set of who are not having opportunity to conduct the virtual classroom. It slowly deepen down. And third category is of your health workers. Health workers who are day and night, they are taking good care of the patients, they are taking good care of themselves and their own families. Good care in the sense by isolating themselves from the family. They're away for at times at a stretch for months time also when they have emergency duties, these health workers. So they're really it's very tough for them. But because now this pandemic, it's lengthened, right? So the duration is increased. For 1 month or 2 months we all were prepared and we were like, okay, fine, after 2 months situation will be fine, okay, after 3 months. But slowly it's almost a year now and we are still struggling. So for them, going to the same profession, same hospital or same, the PHC, and treating the same patient with the same kind of a complaints becomes very challenging. So they are also not feeling and definitely any excitement or any motivation to go. So their reflection is coming in more of work life imbalance in their personal lives. That is leading there. So who are more likely to develop post-traumatic stress disorders, anxiety or depression and other symptoms of stress, right? Because day in, day out, they have to work harder because of their job roles. And competition in this health stream is also that people are ready to work on the extreme conditions as well. Some people are taking this as an opportunity, right? So they are ready to work. So if I do not go health worker today, I don't know tomorrow my job is there or not. So that kind of a depression, anxiety is always existing with them. Social distance and the security measures have affected the relationship among people and their perception of empathy towards other, right? As I said and gave you that store example in the beginning, that perception of empathy is fading away, is shadowing, is just away from all of us. Otherwise we can relate anybody's grief, anybody's pain situation, anybody's joy. But now with this, it's really tough to go with that. All right. So let me quickly give a small window here to the participants. If you have something which you wish to share, because I cannot go with a monotonous kind of interaction, so you can raise your hand and I can unmute you. If any of you, ma'am or sir, who are there as a participant in this group, if you have any query or something to share on, please raise your hand in your chat box. I will unmute you. Yes. Yes, please. Anyone? Any tech team member who's around? Can I ask to please? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to take some questions at this point or any contribution which they wish to share so far, whatever we have covered in that context. So,
Um, if the participants have any questions, they can go ahead and ask ma'am. We just had a power cut here, ma'am. It's raining here, so everything just went off. That's why. Yeah.
oh.
All right. So we're just back on right now. The participants, do any of you have any questions? Anything you'd like to discuss with ma'am?
I think they can put the raise hand mark in
Yes, sir.
their, yeah, so that they can do. so that
Please
we can.
go ahead and raise your hands if
I
you have
think
any questions.
Priyanka,
Yes,
can we
ma'am.
unmute Priyanka, please? Priyanka Kumari.
Ma'am, please unmute
Yes,
yourself and you can
ma'am.
ask. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Priyanka.
Ma'am, basically, yeah. Ma'am, can you suggest anything in context of small kids? Like what as a parent we should do so that we can involve the child in a better way, or they can
I'm
have a sort
sorry.
of,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
happiness at home.
You have to act as a kid with them. I also play, I mean, with my kid as a like their age mate. So we have to become, because they don't have friends around, they don't have a social setting around, so we have to create that artificial setting at home, like how we are interacting right now. We do not have a power, we do not have a facility to have face to face, this FDP program, so we are conducting it virtually, isn't it? So same way, you have to create
Yes.
something, in a creative mode that you can play with them. You can allow them to explore. I mean, what age group your child is? Yes, Priyanka.
She's 6 years old. She's 6 years old.
So 6 years is much easier to handle as compared to the older ones, because older ones carry their own emotional and personality context as well, right? So 6 years can be engaged in any of your household activity also. You can ask them to maybe fold your clothes, or maybe do some creative crafts, or maybe allow them to do something on natural, like mud and clay and soil, where definitely you have to put in extra effort, because they will create some sort of a, or give them a kind of a corner, if space allows, just small corner, and just allow them to do whatever they want in that corner, right? So give them that freedom to explore and do as per their own freedom. Definitely they'll like to love, all those things. Anything else? All right. If you do not have question, let me just move on.
Yes, ma'am. I don't think anyone has any other questions.
Fine, 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 fine. So these were the few things which are severely affecting all of us in the perception of empathy in the societal settings, right? Further to that, there are few common features. So the topic is of repercussions, but I'm not focusing on the negative side of that, rather, because now it's already too much. We have overloaded with all that news and stuff. So I thought, let me just bring down some commonalities, some common features, which, and I think I may answer your question here again, Priyanka. So there are these common features which can be put in place to make, and try to address these behavioral things. So initially, the focus was on well-being, right? When we were thriving in the bubble, in the sense that we just started the journey of this pandemic, and what is happening. So we don't know. All of a sudden, a wave came up, and we were like shocked with all these things happening. Initially, people have this perception, okay, it's just like any other viral fever, and it will go away, or any other kind of a crisis, like and it will go away. But nobody have imagined and thought of that it will stay so long, so long, not in one country but globally. So that is the biggest threat. So we started focusing on the well-being first, yeah, and learning new things, like you know designing your routine things, your day-to-day activity in a division, or you can say the decentralization of task, right? So division of labor kind of a thing you have to apply at home also, because we all are working and we have to keep a balance. Initially, what used to happen is, you prepare, two tiffins, three tiffins in the morning, things done, half of the day you will be relaxed. Evening, then okay, fine, it's like cooking and all routine things, but everything was streamlined. But now all of the members are at home, again is a big challenge, managing their emotions, their priorities, preferences, Homemaker never ever assures or gives you a license that cooking is for you only. So in many homes, people, I mean, your spouse, other spouses also taken interest and started supporting. Whereas in the other stream, it has gone other way also, that people started, giving orders as if they are in the hotel room, right? They're starting choices. What is next coming? Chikanji is served. Now what next? You are cooking. Now what next? So it becomes a kind of a treat and an enjoyment initially for first 2 months for all of us, isn't it? But we have learned new things also, isn't it? We have shifted that we time, yeah, cooking together, maybe quarreling also together, home cleaning again, because no maids, no other external support for you. And we being Indian society, we don't go for those vacuum cleaners or your dishwasher in every household, isn't it? That's not a common practice we do. We have very standard, very unique feature called as a buy system in India, and which is very popular. And half, I mean, 90% of the working women's our lives depend on these. These are the survivors for us, isn't it? That home cleaning again was part of the initial bubbling when it was happening. Slowly we shifted to a new home or a workplace, because now when our employers, wherever you all are working, so the organization started realizing that it is not possible to bring back people in the organization or institute or colleges. So let us start allowing them to work from home. And they some have adopted initially Zoom as a platform, the tool to take the classes. Some go on for Teams, some go on for Cisco WebEx, and some has some other Moodle and some other platforms to take the online session. So collaboration of tools happened. Homeschooling started for our kids. Now homeschooling becomes such a pressing thing for working mothers, because we teach for our students and we have to parallelly ask my child to sit here and take the classes from mobile. So you are managing two things. So mentally you are engaged two places, isn't it? So it's like I don't know where I'm, which live and which car I'm driving. I don't know the path. It's that way. You're driving, but you don't know where this road ends, right? So these, few factors were pretty common, happens. But one thing I'm realizing that over a period of time, majority of our population, majority of us have become much more techno savvy, isn't it? Though it's pressing, I know it's very very high pressure for all of us. But if you try to figure out some good points after these last whatever 8 9 months, we all have grown up technically. We know now how to upload the images. We now know how to swip or add some audio or visual, isn't it? So that technical education happens for all of us. That is a good part. Personal health was another thing which was pretty common, when these all scenarios is being arise. Like, so people started for, because there were some members in our family who require a regular medical visit or regular, hospital visit for their checkups. Let's say who are having some, I know few of my friends whose old parents require a dialysis or a kind of other health checkups, right? Some tests. So telemedicine and teleconsulting and telepsychological concepts came in practice. Telemedicine, so online everything. Like before this, we used to order only limited stuff. Majority of that chunk has been transferred to now online mode, right? And this is the time, I think it was March or April, I think somewhere in April, Amazon has recruited 1,000 salespeople, not in April, May, I think around in May, because they were forcing the requirement of the festival season, which was in Diwali and all those, the other festival in other states as well, and the Christmas New Year time. So they foresee that now this is the new common, a new normal thing, that people would love to order online, and I need more people to distribute things. So many of these which otherwise also they were doing business and selling, their products online, but they have increased the momentum, they have increased the number of staff in that segment. Yeah. So telemedicine was one. Immunity enhancement things, no touch retail and payment was again a popular thing which came into practice, right? So people used to prefer whether they go to veggie vendor or whether the veggie vendor come and deliver things at your place. So everybody is keen and interested, limited, touch interaction. So these, payment banks have got a good scope to explore that time. Travel and life outdoors, like virtual everything. Now, one day I was National Daily Television, and I watched a news that somewhere around 150 or more than that, I think 1000 or some figure, but some good number of musicians, they have organized online orchestra, they have played music online, right? That's such a wonderful thing. Nobody have ever thought of doing that. Many good big reputed, universities and institute have conducted their convocation and their orientation programs online virtually, right? Many big corporates, they are conducting fun breakouts, fun activities online. Now, before this pandemic, also these activities were existing and people were aware of this technology usage. Only difference which came in which is visible to all of us is the shift of percentage, right? Initially, they used to do like people all were aware, or maybe some were not aware also. 80% were going normal things, only 20% were using these advanced ways of, maybe online, everything online and usage of. But now 80% of the population is using these virtual platforms for conducting everything, isn't it? Now, I can share one of my personal experience. We just had one. One of my relative, he and my niece, he got engaged. So we conducted a virtual program, right? All the relatives on a platform, Zoom, they logged in, and we were. There is no choice. Otherwise, you will be fined, secluded. So, irrespective whether you stay in US, UK, India, Patna, and North, South India, wherever you are, this is giving another positive thing to all of us that we can. So, it says cut cost. So, you need not to travel. You can save your fares of your, your air travels and other or train travels, isn't it? So that commuting cost has come down. So these virtual things is again coming as a popular choice for people. Playtime in Fortress Home, I mean by this is you have to increase, because you're also teaching to your students and your kids are also part of the, so their on screen time is increasing, right? So it get affected in their eye health, their, the patience level, their, the speaking skills, expression of thoughts, their communication skills, all these are what get affected with this. So to overcome these factors, try to create, like, Priyanka raised a very valid question, that how to keep engaged these kids and how to be, a more playful and situation created. To definitely we have to do some extra effort for that, but believe me, it will really help you. And because what they need is their freedom and flexibility and liberty to do things at their own pace. What we do is, see, you sit, your school time starts now, where are you roaming around? Please come here and sit here, isn't it? We all just call them and make them mandatory to be here next to me till your school or your class teacher said, okay, close the screen, kids, now you can leave the school now, isn't it? So this is something pressing for them. Nobody, in fact, even we don't like work like this way, isn't it? So allow them whatever is, and try to create multiple places. Let's say one point where they can make all dirt and clay and sand and whatnot if possible, right? So they have, for the younger kids, I'm saying, right, 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, that way. So they love to, do something, Legos, drawings, sketches, maybe with water, whatever they want to do. So they have a freedom. And please don't be so obsessed with your cleaning part, because that need to be redo and redo, or make it a point that everybody's house is more or less in the similar, so that can be a new setup of your home. Why you are so obsessed about cleaning and putting things at right place every time? Not possible, because we have shifted and we are creating a kind of a playground at home. So we have to accept our shift also. Creating a playground, simultaneously you want everything and neat and clean and very, tidy at place. Not possible, right? So we have to think and understand the other part as well. It will definitely engage your child, and it definitely give you mental free time, which is the most important of us. Your mental relaxed free time, majority of us may not get that free time to think of our own health, of our own well-being. We are taking good care for all, but we are not taking good care. And if I am not healthy, if I am not good physically and mentally, I am not able to, run or go long way in this treadmill, isn't it? So please try to keep your kids engaged, create some environment like this at home. Maybe you can ask them to help you in other household chores, right? Engage them. So just divide the task in a such a way that they feel and they will be, more happy to do that. Connecting, and also don't forget to give them rewards in the sense that just, give them appreciation of word only. That is also good and fair enough for child, right? And for elders also, definitely, because they are also not very, what to say, trained or conditioned to do some off work or off track work at home. So try to make and give them more appreciation and more reward. So reinforce again and again in a days, maybe 3 4 times, good enough. And it will make them sense of, respect and something worthy I have done for my family. If I'm at home, it's not that I'm not doing, I'm simply ordering things, right? So try use these simple formulas and tricks, and it will make more happier an environment, and people start as normally behaving as they were doing, in their normal time. Connecting meaningfully. So virtual interactions with the loved one, as I just mentioned, that we created a Zoom family connect, and we had a very very good time. And in fact, marriages are happening, these days virtually. Half of some members are part of that event, and some members are just connecting, virtually. I do remember before this pandemic, there was one ad which was, designed and advertised as which commercial, which product, I'm not recollecting at this point. But there was an ad where that panditji is puja, doing some puja for the marriage, and rest of the family is, no, panditji is online and family is at home. Yeah, that home warming ceremony, grah pravesh puja, no? So that grah pravesh puja was happening, and panditji was, doing online. So there was a very common this clip, I have seen, I think on WhatsApp or some commercial. I am right. So these kind, when anyone has designed these kind of ads or video, they have never ever imagined that it becomes a reality. And whatever new era or experience we are having today, few years back it was a dream. People could not have imagined that, okay, with just one touch on a screen, I can call person sitting in US, I can see him face to face, and we can talk as if we are sitting next door, isn't it? So this was a dream. So too we are shifting. So this is how things evolve. Either some crisis hit, either some, a very radical change which happen in the external environment, or there is some, natural calamity which happens. So complete way of living your life completely changes, right? So this is how we are considering this pandemic also as a part of it, and we are evolving and trying to learn more things to accept and adopt it in a better fashion, so that we start behaving in a very normal fashion. Next is your revolution of choice. So, supply restrictions leading to increased trial opportunity, right? So, there was a complete revolution range of product we started, tasting and all those things. Like initially, if you go for a shopping in a mall or any store, you love to try so many outfits, or you love to see, I mean, if it is a food product, then you love to see, or many in the good stores they keep the taste buckets also in front of the that particular, let's say if it is cookies, or if it is some other snack, then they put in the cups so you can taste it and accordingly you can purchase that product, but that has gone away, right? So what we are doing, we are going for the brands or the products or the which we have not tasted, which we have not wore it earlier in past time. So this has restricted. So we are completely exploring new opportunities. Yeah. Next is your control. So new value equation is your control spending. What used to happen, like almost if not so regularly, but yes, once in a month or by month, people used to dine out. Yeah, or maybe every weekend. In some places, in some families, it's a normal routine that okay, every weekend we'll go out somewhere and dine and come back. In metros, definitely it's a popular culture, but in small cities and still in the tier two towns, still restricted to maybe once a month, maybe by months, or maybe some good occasion only, anniversary, birthdays and all that. But now again, that spending is being controlled. In a one way it's a good thing, in another way it becomes a cumbersome thing on the household owner, the who used to cook something extra for all, isn't it? But if you see in behavior, I personally believe is what you say is not so important, but the way you say it is more important, right? You can ask somebody to do task, but how you are asking him to do that task, that matters a lot, right? And that reflects from your own personality. Yeah, these factors definitely makes a momentum, makes a vibe in that normal behavior, but try to overcome these by overcoming these through various stress relievers, by your yoga, meditation. And that is why in the where is that fifth point, I said that try to relieve, try to squeeze some other task and take out time, not less than 10 to 15 minutes for your own self. Try to take out at any cost. You just consider that this is something my right. I want to live my life happily, so I have a full right of this 15 minutes in 24 hours of time to reflect myself that what I am doing, for whom I am doing, isn't it? So these things need to be highlighted, and you just reflect and you see the difference, right? Along with others, you yourself have to also grow mentally and physically. All right, so this much is clear with all of us, and this is just one slide. I thought let me just put you many young students I have known who have started and explored this new skill. They realize that oh my goodness, we I never knew that this skill do exist with me, and I become a good chef. I can start my own startup also. So many of them have turned into these small testings into a startup. And YouTube nowadays, now it's a trend that there are a lot many YouTubers around, isn't it? So many YouTubers. So if you know something, you just try and you just upload it on a YouTube. That is another way of earning these days. More and more YouTubers are available. So just explore your new skill in which you are good at. Now, Uh, to overcome these pandemic repercussions, companies have on initial counseling used to happen like when students join new colleges and new courses, many a times in the IITs or in good repute institutes, where everyone is a cream, super talented, or in other colleges also. When they came, then they realized, oh, here everyone is a superhero, and they may not be able to adjust with that change surrounding and change environment. Yeah, so much pressure of studies. So psychologists used to do one-on-one counseling. Parents get, take them to the counselor, or at times, college and institute also conducted and call counselors every week for their students on board on in the hostels. So that way these things used to be taken care. But now, with this change scenarios, telepsychology and technological devices, they are assuming important roles to decrease these negative effects of a pandemic. Now, what we mean by telepsychology? Telepsychology, it includes both online interventions as well as a telephone, email, or a chat or a video conference. So, let's say, for example, if I am a trained certified counselor, if I'm saying I'm not trained counselor, if I am a psychologist and if I am a trained certified counselor, then if I am addressing the queries, and if I am sorting and so giving you the treatment online, it is a part of a telepsychology, and it is paid. Like we book, I mean, doctors also, we take appointments online and we do a teleconsultation with them these days, because you don't want to expose yourself or your good ones to hospital by visiting hospital. So what we prefer to do teleconsultation, right? So similarly, telepsychology. So on virtual mode, the psychologist will help me that you do this now, you to overcome. So first they do kind of a feedback that why you feel dip, in which time of the day you feel dip or low, whether in the presence of some person you feel low, in some company you feel low, or at the time of studies in the your relaxed time. So where, so accordingly they counsel and do, I mean, there are like n number of sittings which happens depending on the level of depression and depending on the level of stress or anxiety a person is suffering. Another thing is, along with that is psychology, they also suggest some medicines or whatever the line of medication. They feel that if it is important, they suggest that part also. So these are very very common things which are happening around. And what are the benefits for this? Like these tools can improve more psychological treatment of patients, definitely online. It stay make you away from the other threats of getting exposed to any of the infections if you visit in person to the hospitals. And also you can do it from any place, from workplace. You can save your money, you can save your time, and maintaining the relationship between therapist and the patients, right? So these are the few benefits of this. Fine. So as of now, we have experienced that what are challenges, what are common features, and what we and how the the trained psychologists they have moved and brought in new telepsychology or telemedicine through different devices, and these are the benefits. But as a in responsible faculty, or as a responsible facilitator or a mentor for my students, what do I do? How do I groom them? How do I teach them? What should I tell them so that they overcome and start behaving normally? Right? I'm not saying that in your class, in your surroundings, you have abnormal students. I'm simply saying that these unseen characteristics are reflecting in their grades, which we all know, right? Oh, this student is a good one. I don't know why this time he or she has scored so low. So that means something unseen and unhidden which is affecting the performance. So that itself is an indication that they require your guidance by following these steps which I'm going to talk about now. All right. So far, if you have not understood or if you have any query, I'll be happy to answer that. If not, then I will start with the explanation of this. Yes, please. Anybody from the tech team, please check with the audience if they have any question as of now. Otherwise, we will move ahead. No questions? I think you have an option to write in a chat also. Fine, if you do not have any query, let me move on. All right. So what best we can do is, and the first step is sense of social connection. So in a class, they are, because we have to complete the syllabus, we have to complete the, evaluative components, conducting quizzes, exams, sharing of marks, everything we have to do it, fine. But students among themselves, apart from their WhatsApp group, as a class, they are not interacting with each other. So try to conduct something, create a platform where they feel socially connected. Maybe you can create a book clubs, maybe you can create a recreational clubs online, and maybe ask them to create these things on their own. You just give them a window, not necessarily, because Zoom itself allowed some duration which do not need any kind of a license to purchase, right? So allow them, let's say only for 15-20 minutes they come play together online. Recreation, like creating some competitions, and book clubs is like if someone has read some good book, then please come and share what this book is all about, right? Some good key learnings of that book to be shared. Recreational club is like maybe on some festivals or some important days, maybe on Christmas, you can have a cake making competition or poster making competition for good health, or how to overcome this pandemic, some good new ideas, right? That can be created. So sense of social connection will be my first step. Uncertain scenarios definitely affects your plans, right? Because you never know what is coming next in the lines. So we need to reassess the reality. Reassessment in terms of their understanding and their feedback. That means from the student point of view, I'm telling you this thing. You just check with them how much they are comfortable in using these modes. If not, what best can be done, what all we can include, is it, if it is feasible, if you have a less strength, if the state rules and regulation permits, can we have some decent number of strength on the campus? Can we have some alternate days where they can come and interact, and they can have a face to face interaction with you? So you have to reassess, right? So that can again give you good results, and that can again bring them back to the normal behavior scenarios. Planning is definitely essential, but plans are worthless, because plans may fail, but planning is something which is a long term, all right? So at this point, I would rather suggest that we should think from three perspectives. We should think as from philosophers point, we should think from strategist point, and we should also think from the entrepreneur point. Now, what I mean by all these three is, when I talk about as a philosopher, okay? So what philosopher does? He think and think and think. Think in detail, insights from different angles, good, bad, criticize, critically analyze, and all these things. So I have to think from student perspective that what is the reality, or otherwise you can ask students also to reassess themselves and their plans by thinking as a philosopher, by planning as a strategist, and by executing or taking action as a entrepreneur, all right, as a startup owner or a small business owner, all right. So if I, as a student, I'm thinking that what is the reality? Am I going to place, am I got any company for my placement coming this year or not? What will happen to my future? So, what is the reality? Reality means factual, that data. In surroundings, you know your reality, right? What is a good life? In my understanding or in my philosophy, how do I define a good life? Is good life mean that I completed my degree with good grades and got a job, or I didn't get good grades but I have a lot of learning, or I get good grades, I got good learning but still I'm not placed, or I have no learning but still I'm placed. So how you define your good life? All right. And third thing, ask them to think, who am I? As an individual, what is my worth to my class, to my college, institute, to my society? How do best I can contribute? Who am I? What traits, characteristics as a person I'm carrying around? How do I contribute so that my birth, my existence is of high weightage? All right, so who am I? Am I a simple dreamer and a planned person? Or am I a real executor? Who am I? Right? So ask them to go through these three questions in detail. Ask them to think and plan as a strategist. Now, who are strategists? They are the ones who make policies, who make plans, who do a lot of planning for the organization, right? Like your colleges definitely have some board of managements, right? So these board of management will act as a strategist for the college or institutes, yeah. They do take care of all stakeholders. All stakeholders means from students, staff, faculty, other admin roles, you know, from where they get grants, AICT, UGC, then about that the government rules and regulations, MHRD, right? So they plan accordingly and in alignment of till the student get placed. So what my MHRD say, UGC and the other AICT or whatever association applies here, in your institutional context, my students strengths, weaknesses, my institute's goals and objectives, are they meeting by the performance of my teachers and my students? Are we placing decent number of students during the campus placement? Are we allowing students to grow as an entrepreneur also? Do we have such
Yes.
opportunity for for my students on campus or not, right? So all these activities or things a strategist think and plan accordingly. So ask the students to reflect the past. Reflection of the past, why it is necessary, it will answer who am I question in the previous section, because it will give you, okay, in past also I planned, I have reassessed myself and where I am right now today, did I made effort to reach those through by using different channels or not? How to develop and groom in future? How do I get ready? Okay, I received a past reflection that I could not perform well. Please mute yourself. I could not get good grades, so I have to really work hard if I want to get a good job, because I'm the more responsible person in my family. So I have to develop, I have to groom for my future roles, right? How to compete? Ask them to see that there's something, in terms of their knowledge, that where they can compete. Are they good enough to look for a higher studies, or are they eligible enough to get good job at present, right? So how to compete? Competitive landscape, what all other opportunities, benefit, and things are available for the students at this point of time. So explore that competitive landscape and what makes me uniquely valuable in this competitive landscape, where 20, 30, 80, 100 of my other classmates who are equal competitors for me, how I can sell myself well so I get and grab this job, right? So I should carry something which is uniquely differentiating my personality or me as a person or me as a competitor with rest of all my classmates. So I have to be uniquely valuable. I should possess something very unique, which is my add-on and my USP, my selling point. All right, so ask them to think and plan as a strategist. Further to that, third important thing which comes in terms of overcoming these threats and these behavioral issues is ask them to execute things as an entrepreneur or as a new businessman start his action, because this is the age of entrepreneurs, right? And especially with this what is that skill India, make in India campaigns, government is supporting these non-vocational vocational courses at a very high degree. So what is the opportunity? Yeah, after reflecting, assessing and seeing that okay, I'm fitting here, so what is the best opportunity for me in the given scenario, and not simply um, uh, you know limit yourself for your own growth and development. Try to translate these small good effort to a bigger good effort, right? So translate lower goods to a higher good. It means if you as a person have a capability to do good for more people, then just stretch yourself and achieve your goals plus your societal goods, and your try to contribute in the societal development, your community development, your nation development or nation building as well. All right, so this is how you can reassess, rethink, from philosopher's point of view. You think and plan as a strategist, and you execute your actions like an entrepreneur, as a businessman, who are core, dedicated, committed, because something, it's their baby, isn't it? Something which is coming from my heart and my dream. So they are so truly, attached to their project and their business that they day and night can do anything for their business, right? So execute your actions like an entrepreneur. And in last, please try to translate your lower goods to your higher goods. Let's say you are very good in learning, IT skills or IT basic skills, which anyone can require to conduct these virtual things. Why not you extend and teach and prepare team of 10 more people who do not have privilege to learn on their own? So you are helping them to learn, isn't it? You're helping them to grow, and that will not only give you a real satisfaction, but it will also give you a unique visibility in your fraternity, in the community, and in the society. All right. So with that note, I here wrap the session, and I'm open for the discussion for next 10 minutes if they are there. Yes, please. Anything which is not clear, any doubt, I'll be happy to address that. Yes, Joseph. Please unmute Joseph Mary. Let me try to unmute. No, I cannot. So let them unmute you, Joseph. Please unmute Joseph. Yes, please. Tech team is there. Can you please unmute Joseph Mary? Hello. Hello. Hello.
हाँ जी मैम.
So could you please unmute Joseph Mary?
हेलो. हाँ जी मैम.
I'm saying, can you please unmute Joseph Mary? She
जी
raises
मैं
her.
कर
कर
देती
देती
हूँ.
हूँ.
It's muted, ma'am.
Muted where?
Joseph
At,
Mary's. हाँ जी मैम.
I don't know. I can see one hand was there
Okay, okay.
in
Yes,
front.
participants, anybody wants to say something? You can continue, ma'am. I think there is no problem.
No, I'm done with. I was just kept, as
Okay.
I said in the beginning, that I just want, I kept the Q&A kind of a thing because in last, definitely, if you confusion or anything, if not, then I can leave.
किसे
Okay, ma'am. There is a question
बोलो
Yeah.
from Francis
किसे
uh, Fernandez. How to face
কি
competitive
বলো
exams
কিসে
UPSC mains
এটা আমার
attempt?
শোনো হ্যাঁ কিন্তু এআইসিটি এনবিএ আমি কে করেছে হ্যাঁ এনি হ্যাঁ সেটা
How
এনইপি
to
কে করেছে
compete UPSC mains exam?
সেটা
I can say that you can improve your writing
মানে
skill,
আমি
your
এটা
organization of thought
জাস্ট
because subjective answers matters a lot there.
আমার দেখো, আমি আমার আমার কাজ লাইব্রেরিতে আমি তো একা আমি তো
Yeah.
একা সামলাচ্ছি এখানে এক্সট্রা
Somebody has unmuted their mics and they are talking among themselves. Please mute yourself.
ক্লাস নিচ্ছি আবার আমি
You mute all
ক্লাস
and
নিচ্ছি
then you unmute only one which you want to talk
Ah,
to.
right. I'll do that.
You mute all.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, mine is fine. So if there are no queries, then no questions anymore.
Please have questions, participants.
Hello, ma'am. Can I talk?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just I wanted to share, as you mentioned earlier, that students are facing difficulty with this online mode of conduct of the classes. Same I feel is there on the teachers end also. Like
Hmm.
throughout the day, they are there with their laptops. Even meetings have gone online.
Hmm.
Interaction with students and passing on messages circular through WhatsApp group. So over a period of time, it has so happened that we have started getting aversion of sitting on the computers. Like
Hmm.
assessment, everything is just even uh, shopping is become online,
Hmm.
interaction has become online, so that
Hmm.
human touch has gone away where you could
Hmm.
see the expression of the students and all
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Maybe relatives also, as you said, marriages also have it is in the digital.
Hmm.
So like how to handle this situation, because earlier it was like it would be there, things would be normal after 3 months, 6 months. Now it is
Right.
almost coming to a year,
Hmm.
and gradually it has affected everybody.
Hmm.
So, any way or means by which we can balance the two and go ahead?
Yeah, good question and very much relevant here. So, as I said, that we have to create social platforms but virtually because we don't have a choice to go in person or physical contact. So, we have to create an hour for socialization where maybe in batches you can have informal meetings with your students who wish, like, many in corporates they have Antakshari week kind of a thing that virtually on the screen they play antakshari, they play ludo, they play, they sing song, and so that way you can see their expression, and you can talk informally. This will be definitely informally, otherwise student will also be reluctant and they don't know, they will shy or they may not express themselves so openly because they have a fear of that, I don't know what my teacher will say or what my faculty will judge and how they will judge me. So definitely that part will be there. So as I in the very first point, that what is will be my first step. So my first step will be either I should create a book club or a recreational club. So organize a recreational club maybe weekly, like you do a planner for exam and course and syllabus or classes. In a recreational club, assign this to the students and they can come up, okay, in one first week madam we will have a song competition or simple, singing of song, something which it which is nothing relation with any official means, right? So that can be one, because otherwise it's, I know it's very hard and tough, but we have to at least mentally we can relieve ourselves and have, can gel well with others. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Priyanka Kumari ma'am has raised hand. Priyanka Kumari ma'am.
I think she
My
raised a
mistake. It
previous.
was by mistake. So I'm extremely sorry for that.
No, it's okay. I think you raised previously, so I answered your question. I think so.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right.
So
Ma'am,
there is
in
one more.
context of the ma'am, in context of the previous question, what was being asked by one of the faculty over here. So I'll share one of my experiences, like what is happening in my daughter's school. So every day they have a chit chat session. So one of the faculty, along with a group of 7 or 8 student, with random group of student, they keep on changing the group of the student, and they used to have half an hour chit chat session. So that I found very interesting for them. So
Right.
even like
Right.
so they used to play hide and seek, they used to play a lot of things, they used to sing
Hmm.
rhymes, they used to do painting. So these
Hmm.
kind, even they used to dance. So
Hmm.
that session is very interesting, and she used to wait for that session. So
Wonderful.
that helps a lot.
Yeah, that can be adopted by others as well. Very nice.
Right, ma'am. Very nice said and very nice experience and one learning also. We can also apply it to our class. Ma'am, there is one question from Francis sir, that
Yeah.
how to calm down agitated students on virtual mode while the class is on.
Yeah, so you have to be
Should I rephrase?
as friendly as you can, because I know it's much harder on the faculty point, because you cannot scold them, you cannot ask them to leave the class, you have to, attendance is mandatory. So these are very critical challenges we all are facing. I agree to that. So we have to be as friendly as we can, plus you can link some of these extreme behavior with the grades. That is the only point, where they have a threat of, that if you do not perform or if you do not behave as per the classroom expectations, we will not allow you after two repetitive such attempts, you may not be allowed to be part of the class next time onwards. So both the things, like you have to be, carrot and stick kind of a policy you have to apply.
Right, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody participants have questions? Please ask. As it is the last session, do you have any questions regarding the session? Or if you want to share anything, please go ahead. I welcome you all for that. Yes, participants. Anybody wants to have other question? So we can wait for a few minutes and then. So there's no question, ma'am.
All right. So thank you so much for giving me
Thank
this
you again, ma'am.
opportunity.
Give us,
Thank you
ji,
to
ji, ma'am.
organizers as well.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving us such a good this thing. That was really a nice session. We all enjoyed it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I request all of you to please stay with us for the valedictory function. Participants and all, please stay with us for the valedictory function.